For more on retail, let's bring in Damon John, FUBU founder and CEO and Shark Tank investor. Great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us, Damon. I mean, so often we ask the question if the worst is behind the bricks and mortar retailers and wonder whether can start to pick up again. Do you think that we're getting a reminder that the worst is not past yet?
Oh, the worst is not past at all. I think we have a couple more years of something like this. And, if you're a retailer, a brick and mortar retailer, if you don't look at your online presence as a total separate presence, you're in trouble. I mean, but you'll look at the ones who are doing well. Look at the Lululemons of the world. Right now, people don't need to wear more clothing at home. They're wearing less. But if you go and acquire Mirror, you also have an app and you also sell direct to your customer and have a separate platform. You're doing rock star numbers.
And in terms of the key advice you have for some smaller retailers and how quickly they can pivot, what would that be?
Well, I wish I could tell you that, it's going to be rosy all day, but, it depends on the type of retailer you are. What are you really selling at the end of the day? If you're a gym, you're not selling membership. You're selling a healthy lifestyle. If you're selling pots and pans and cooking, you're selling to somebody to be a chef and to be able to deliver what they want at home. How are you tapping into that? I mean, listen, I know that some smart retailers are doing what they should be doing is they have an empty space right now, or they have a space that's not as crowded. If you're COVID compliant, why aren't you having the kids come in doing their fashion shows or finally feeling like they're on a runway and streaming this out to everybody, whether it's a fashion show or a makeup company, you're doing faces or you're doing live cooking shows there. You have to find a way to be a content provider for that space. That's real estate.
Seems like, Damon, it's also about brand. I mean, Nike just crushed the numbers in its earnings report, 82% e-commerce growth and back to growth in so many key markets. The stock shot up today at a time where so many retailers are going bankrupt. And so many retailers, just yesterday, Ralph Lauren, the latest to announce job cuts. It really is such a divide of winners and losers. What can the losers take from the Nikes of the world that need to play catch up on digital and on brand?
Well, you can acquire other companies, such as you do, who are in the digital space, the digital marketers. But Nike's been doing this for a long time. Nike will go out and they will make one shoe for one customer, custom made. And you look at a company with a market cap like that, customizing pieces for one, you would say, why would you do that? But they're touching the kid at home. What they're doing is they're getting creative content from a lot of these kids, and they're realizing that one shoe, that when they put it into their system, they realize how many kids had a very similar shoe. The kids just designed their whole line for the next year, right? So they were doing this already prior to COVID, and now they're just showing their strengths, and the people like Ralph Lauren have to catch up, or they got to acquire somebody else who was on their way up, because it's going to be too hard to pivot just by themselves right now. Before you know it, COVID's going to be over. We're going to be back to a different form of normal.
Damon, Citigroup released a big report today, and they also pledged more than $1 billion to help close the racial wealth gap. I know you've personally been working closely as well with Lowe's, also with JP Morgan Chase. Do you feel we're at a watershed moment of change, or is there still an enormous amount still to be done?
I think there's enormous amounts to be done, but these are really amazing and great starts. I mean, as you said, I'm working with Lowe's to do this in full transparency with JP Morgan and Chase, and in the initiative Advancing Black Pathways. And I'm also part of the 2% solution with Robert Smith and the Boca Group, and we're trying to get 2% of Fortune 100 companies, to allocate 2% of their net earnings over the next 10 years, which will equate to $28 billion that will go into broadband and education and various different things. I do think this is a good moment as long as we keep this momentum going and we have long planned things, because these things are not going to change overnight. We're going to need 5-10 years to really start seeing some substantial results.
Damon, Congress is nowhere on a new stimulus bill. With your view into small business right now, how badly do we need another PPP program?
We need it very badly right now. Half of the country is feeling, all the country's feeling the pain, and half of the country doesn't want to admit it. I think small businesses need this right now. What have we been paying our taxes for and doing all the things that we have been doing to run businesses? This is when we need our government the most. We're not asking for a handout, and it's because of poor leadership and poor ways that this thing has been handled from a lot of different levels that the small business is paying for. And if you lose small business in this country, that's the backbone of this country. You're going to lose a lot of hope for a lot of people, a lot of taxpayers, and a lot of mentors in the community. And this is desperately needed now. And they need to all cross the aisle and get together because all of us are suffering, in this situation.